Thank you, and good evening, everybody. Sorry for getting started a few minutes late here. At this point, I need to stop and thank you, offer acknowledgement to our main sponsors for this evening's event through a non-restricted charitable donation. We have funds from Celgene and Sanofi-Genzyme that helped to bring the program tonight. Thank you for that. First up, we're going to have Mindy Eisenberg, who's going to be talking about yoga. With that, I would like to turn this program over now to Mindy and her assistant.
Hello, I am Mindy Eisenberg. I'm deeply honored to be here today with this amazing panel put together by MS Views and News. And so, I want to start by first giving you a little story about myself. This is my mother, Linda. She had primary progressive MS, was diagnosed in her later 20s, and by the time I was 10 years old, she was in a wheelchair. She spent most of her adult life in a chair or in bed. As you can imagine, anyone in here have spasticity? Just a few of you. So we know that a huge percentage of people have spasticity with MS, and as she spent more and more time in the chair, she became more and more contracted into a fetal position. And I used to think to myself, wow, I don't know, it's impossible to straighten her legs. And I did not know how to help her from this respect. So I practiced yoga for about 10 years, finally get up the courage to take teacher training. And right after I finish, little did I know there was a plan out there. Someone said, would you come and volunteer at our MS support group? It was my son's nursery school teacher who had MS, and it was in her doctor's office, her neurologist's office. We did one class as a sample, and now that class is still going 13 years later. They saw from one class how much better they felt. So this is why I want to share yoga with you today, because now we teach hundreds of students every year. Mary is one of them. And Marla is one of our star teachers. Every week we see about 90 to 100 students with MS. And they keep coming back. So what is adaptive yoga? And we're going to talk about what is yoga. Why would you want to embark on such a practice? What's so compelling? Why do this? Put your body in some contorted positions. And to do this, we thought we'd convince you best by doing a little demo. So first, what is yoga? Yoga is it's an art and a science of taking care of you, to be connecting this mind and this body together. So people, when they think of yoga, they think of postures. But first and foremost, yoga is about the breath. Otherwise, it may be exercise. But when we have a primary focus on breathing, which, is everyone breathing here? I hope so. So anyone can do yoga. The postures are really secondary, and they were created, we're talking thousands of years ago. No, yoga is not a religion, but these about 8 to 10 classical postures were designed so that people could meditate. And meditation, I must say, is picking up some steam. We integrate mindfulness into all of our practices to help us be present with where we are. Now, yoga is not a fix or a cure. We don't look at it that way. It's more about being where you're at, being connected in this moment to who you are with your body instead of pushing it away, because that's kind of what we want to do when we feel that it's failed us. So the more we practice yoga, it becomes a lifestyle. We start thinking, oh, what am I putting in my body? What am I eating? Am I getting enough sleep? Who am I surrounding myself with? What am I reading? So yoga becomes this comprehensive umbrella for how we live life. So what is adaptive yoga and what makes it different? Yoga is for everybody. What makes adaptive yoga different is we have some toys that are on the side that Mary has. Marla, maybe you could show. Yoga blocks and straps. And yes, there's a mat here. And in adaptive yoga, we use chairs, we use walls. We'll use about anything to get into a pose. We're not forcing bodies into poses, but we are using these props to help access the pose. They become more accessible. And you get the same benefits with the adaptations that anybody else is getting. Our philosophy is no pain, all gain. In fact, yoga and mindfulness have been proven through studies to show that it's actually a fantastic way to cope with pain. We don't really tolerate I can't do in the yoga room. In fact, if someone says, I can't do it, we will find a way for you to do it. And if you say I can't and we hear you, then Marla keeps a little jar and we collect some change to go buy some lunch afterwards. The room, I know a lot of you might think that I can't do yoga because yoga's hot. Well, we keep the temperature around 70. Give or take, based on feedback. It's always based on feedback and what the students need at the time. If the teacher walks into the room and hears that the class is kind of tired, we have a decision to make. Should we pick it up and make more energy, or on a really humid, thick day, should we do more of a restorative class? Last week, I was just outnumbered by student votes to have a restorative class when I had prepared an action class. And so, but this is what's cool about it, is that students go home, they learn the yoga, they can do it for themselves. What does my body need now? That's what yoga teaches us to do. What does my body need now? How can I take care of it? So, in adaptive yoga, it's always about safety. That is the top priority. And that's why we have wonderful teachers that help out. I recommend wherever you're at that you do start with a teacher. We do have a book and videos, but it's always really nice to have some personal attention when embarking on a yoga practice. So these are my students, and we don't look like we're having any fun, do we? No fun at all. No fun. So, if you ask these students, why do you do this? What changed for you from your practice? Chuck says, well, I didn't want to do yoga. I did not believe it could do anything for me. And besides, men don't do yoga. And then on prodding of one of his friends, he went to class and he says, I was a skeptic, but now I'm a believer. Now I'm a believer. We have students who come in and they're desperate to find something to help themselves. They are in pain, and they want to find a way to feel whole again. And that they go from desperate to finding a way for inner peace. And I don't want to say that this just comes quickly, because it doesn't, but it's a practice. Every time that Mary goes on the yoga practice, as she's going to do now with you, is a new practice. It's a new day. It's this body at this moment. So we don't necessarily know what's going to come up. So let's start by doing some moving, because here, what you say to students, what changed for you physically? What do they say? I went from being stagnant to moving. I went from being stagnant to moving. And you know what? That's just not people with MS. our society has become stagnant in front of our computers and our phones. So let's do a little bit moving. I know dinner is going to be served, but maybe take a little break, do a little yoga with us before eating or in between bites and morsels. And we're going to start by first just breathing. Just want you to, if your eyes will allow, close them. If not, keep them open. And soften the gaze. Soften the gaze and just take a breath. You can't do this right or wrong. There is no right or wrong. Just take a breath and feel the breath just as you are. We're not trying to change anything here. We're learning about what is going on inside. And now take one hand to your belly and maybe one hand to your heart. And feel what happens on the inhale. There's this expansion. The belly expands. And then as you exhale, we exhale out through the nose, which is known to calm the nervous system. It triggers the parasympathetic nervous system. So inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. If you take away one thing from this evening, breathing alone, taking a few breaths, we call it a mindful 3-second break, just pausing before going on to the next task. Breathing in and breathing out. And some people like to use a mantra when they're focusing on their breath. So you might have something very simple like inhale, let, exhale, go. Inhale, let, exhale, go. So this breath becomes an anchor. It becomes an anchor for being in this moment. And so what do most people say when it comes to breathing? And breathing is very much attached to meditation as well as the yoga postures. They say, well, I can't meditate. I can't focus. Well, the mind was not meant to focus. The mind goes from one thought to the next. That's what it does. So we learn through yoga and meditation to refrain from judging, to approach our way of being, our way of breathing, our way of doing the poses, our way in on the yoga mat and off the yoga mat without judgment and with compassion. And truly, if someone says, what is the benefit of yoga? That's really what we're looking for, is compassion. I mean, maybe Mary can touch her toes right now, and maybe she can't. And it really won't matter. It really won't matter. So if you haven't opened your eyes yet, go ahead, release this focus on the breath. And we'll start by just sitting up tall. Press your feet down into the earth. Now, in yoga, we take off our shoes. We have foot fetishes, actually. But even if you don't take off your shoes, if you're comfortable, take them off. And so you can actually press your feet down into the carpeting. Feel the carpeting touch the soles of your feet. And then as you press down through your feet, also press down through your sit bones. So pressing down through your sit bones causes this rise through the spine. It creates expansion. So you're taking up space that's yours to take. So the spine is lifting up, and you feel taller, and you're breathing. This is yoga. This is a pose. We call this seated mountain pose. And you might press your palms into your thighs and draw the shoulders up and back, up and back. Breathe right here. And now take your shoulders up towards the sky and circle them around. So this is just really a warm-up. But so what's the difference? We probably all circled our shoulders up and around. Really feel the movement. Really feel the sensation of movement. It should feel good. As you're breathing, shoulders move up, around, and back. And then relax them. And draw your chin towards your chest. Drop the chest on the exhale. And then inhale, lifting the head back up. Good. On your next inhale, turn your nose towards the right. So gaze to your right. And then take your eyeballs and look a little bit further to the right, because we have to exercise the eyeballs too. Inhale back to center. Chin is back to the center. And exhale towards the left. Breathe in. And breathe out, returning to center. We're going to do a pose now called cat-cow. So the poses we're doing tonight are done, we're doing mostly in the chair. But cat-cow pose can also be done on the earth. And Mary's going to show cat pose, and you guys can all do it. Hands on your knees or your thighs. You're going to round your spine, take your chin to your chest, and pretend you have a big beach ball on your thighs, and you're rounding your spine over. So you're feeling length in the back of the body. And then you're going to inhale up and draw your shoulder blades together. Your chin is going to slightly lift. So that's the cow pose. And so exhale is a rounding, and inhale is a lifting. Good. A few more times, just so you can feel. This is a wave of the spine. Exhale, rounding. Inhale, lifting. Good. And now we're going to return to neutral mountain pose. And Mary's going to show one of her favorite poses. Mary is going to, and you guys are going to do it with her, right? So we're going to mirror you. You're going to take your right hand and lift it to the sky. You're going to take your left hand, and there we go. Just to confuse you. So you have your right hands up, reach up high. Now press down through your feet again and your sit bones again. Grow taller. Grow taller. Breathe right here. Inhale, feel length, like you're going to reach up to the sky, but then keep your arm long, just drop the shoulder down. We seem to want to carry these shoulders up to our ears, but let's just relax them down. So there's a softening in yoga. Now we're going to take a side bend. Mary likes to call this banana. So you're going to side bend towards your right. Pull your bellies in and up. Dinner's not in there quite yet. It's not in there yet? Okay. So pull in and up. And then rise back up again. And exhale, float your arm down by your side. You just did Mary's banana pose. You just did a side bend. Let's go for the other side. So left arm rises. Reach high. Spread your fingers. Take up space. Spread the bones in your palms and your fingers. Now press down again and lift up tall. Sit forward on your sit bones. Rock forward and back, and then move a little bit forward so you feel aware, conscious, alert. Now take an exhale towards your left. Beautiful. Grow long and tack that left hip down. Breathe fully. Take a huge breath here. You feel your ribs expand. It's like somebody could stick their fingers in between each rib. And then inhale, arm rises back up. Exhale, float the arm down by your side. Yeah, you might shake it out. Mary shook it out. Mary, do you want to say why you love your banana pose?
Well, when I was first introduced to this pose by Marla, we did it in class, and I was having MS hugs, and anybody here with MS probably knows what I'm talking about. And and they were crippling. I thought I was having a heart attack, and I would have to pull off the road if I were driving. So we did this pose, and I liked what it was doing here. It felt good, but I didn't know that what it was going to do was going to stop those MS hugs in their tracks cold. I no longer have them as long as I continually do this. If I stop doing it for a few weeks, they start coming back, so I know that it's directly related to that. So it controls that. It also is helping my posture. If you use a walker or a cane, you do tend to lean over, and it's helping keep my posture straight.
Thank you, Mary. So what you're hearing is, it's not a cure, but if Mary keeps doing her side bends, then the MS hug doesn't have so much power over her. In fact, it seems to really dissipate. And that's what we're going for. And that's what we're going for. So I want to show one of my favorite poses. Students do it almost every class. I recommend doing it every day. Who has spasticity? Raise your hands, right? Nobody has spasticity here, no? Okay, so we're going to take one of our toys, the yoga strap, and you guys don't need a strap. But by the way, you don't have to go buy fancy supplies. For a strap, you can use a belt or, from a robe. It doesn't have to be fancy. Or I'm going to show you how you can do it with your hands underneath your leg. But Mary's going to put this around her right foot so you can see. And what this is doing, she's putting the tie around her foot, and there's different ways to tie it. You can look it in my book or look on our videos, but Mary's showing this for you now. She's crisscrossing it, which gives her a little bit more leverage. And Mary, what are you feeling?
I'm feeling a tremendous stretch in the back of my leg all the way up to my hip bone. When I sit, those tighten up, and I'm not aware of it until I try to stand up. So it's stretching those muscles and tendons actually from my large toe all the way up to my hip.
So you guys can do this if you scoot away from your tables just for a moment. I know dinner's coming, but if you have spasticity, I highly encourage you to interlace your fingers underneath one of your thighs and then press the leg away. I see you doing it. Yes. So we sit up tall, and then there's length that's growing through the underside of your leg. And then we take a few breaths right here. And of course, whatever you do to one side, we have to do to the other. By the way, there's no good side or bad side, or good body part or bad body part in yoga. All body parts are doing the best they can do to serve us. So we say my right leg, my left leg.
I squeeze through my legs.
You squeeze through your legs?
I'm with you.
So we say nice things to your leg, like, I love my right leg, I love my left leg, and really, really mean it. Okay, Mary, you can release that down.
What do you think? How many of you in this room actually have done yoga before? Yay, a few people have, and for everybody else, that was a new experience. And hopefully you've thought of some questions that you would like to ask our experts that are here with us right now. I know for myself, I love one leg better than the other. I don't love them equally. So,
oh no,
yeah.
Love that one the same or more. Give it love and tenderness and compassion.
Oh gosh, now we have two gentlemen out in here in the audience circulating with the microphone. So just raise your hand and they will come to you immediately and we will take care of your questions. Who has questions?
I want to know what time of day you can do this.
Anytime. Are you breathing? When do you stop breathing?
At night.
No. You can do yoga when you wake up. You can do yoga when you go before you go to bed. You can do yoga to take a little respite after lunch. You can do it as a computer break, sitting at that computer. Great time to do a few twists or back bends. Mary, you want to show the twist while we're getting our next question? Mary's going to show a seated twist. Yes.
So with MS, a lot of people have bladder spasms, not to mention women in general. Is there a yoga pose that can help with bladder spasms?
So what we do is, Mary, you can twist the other way. We do a lot of work actually with pelvic floor. And part of what we find is, through all types of spasms, that when we focus on the breathing, our students tell us time and time again, by focusing on the breath, it gets a little bit stronger, it gets a little bit longer, and spasms dissipate. They do lessen. Mary's nodding her head. We also use the breath that we just did earlier this evening is a simple breath. There is umpteen different types of breaths, and we use our breath to strengthen our pelvic floor. We don't realize it, but many of us are holding our breath. And we go through our day, we don't realize we're also tightening the pelvic floor and the bladder. That actually can cause more spasms. So what we want to do is focus on the breath, and that very much can help that. Does that answer your question?
Okay, we got one over here, please.
I do yoga once a week, but I don't feel like that's enough. How many times do you recommend to do it a week?
Oh, every day, multiple times a day? Mary said, as much as you can do it. As much as you can do it. We have students who come once a week, and the super students, the superstar pupils, they're doing it every day at home. That's when we see a difference quicker in their body. You start to notice it. The first one, yeah, okay, they feel great. They leave and they feel really good, and it lasts for a day or so. But then if they continue to do it, start with 2, start with 3. Do what's realistic for you. Yes, I'd love to tell you to do it every day, 3 times a day, but how about starting with ask yourself, what can I reasonably do? And by the way, it doesn't have to be a half hour, an hour. It could be 5-minute break, 10-minute break. If you go on my website, there's some very short videos that address different kinds of things like spasms or digestion or fatigue. We use the breath to manage fatigue. Any other questions?
I would mention that you are from the state north of where I live.
Oh!
She's from that state of Michigan, and there are a number of people who have trained with her, and they are fortunate to have MS adaptive yoga offered in
Michigan.
all sorts.
I know.
I wasn't going to say the state name.
I know we got some Ohio people here, but we are from Michigan.
They have amazing networks of people. So the people who are watching this on the web, if you're in Michigan, particularly down in the Detroit area, be sure to look them up and find out more about this. And also, you have a book that you've written about MS adaptive yoga. Would you like to tell them the name of that again, please?
Sure. It's Adaptive Yoga Moves Anybody. I believe that Marla handed out some bookmarks for you, so you can look us up. Yoga Moves MS is the website, and we did have a slide. I don't see the slides anymore. So Yoga Moves MS, my book is on there, Adaptive Yoga Moves Anybody. And it has, the idea behind the book, actually, I had no intention of writing this book, but the students asked for it. They wanted pictures and easy instructions. So I hope you'll glance at it.
So, well, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming and appearing tonight. Thank you for your lovely assistance here. Thank you, Mary. And for anyone else that has questions, I know you'll be here after the program, so she'll be available to talk to you one-on-one.
So in a yoga practice, we usually close the practice with what we'll do right now. So you can softly close your eyes and perhaps bring your hands to your heart and just stack your palms. And really feel your heart beating. Feel the pulsation into your palms. And at the same time, feel the pulse of the breath. You'll feel the heart lift on the inhale and a soft dissension on the exhale. And we remember to come back to the heart, to the place where the light resides, because the light is in each one of you. We remember, as John Kabat-Zinn likes to say, there's more right with you than wrong with you, as long as you're breathing. So while you're here in this moment, in this space, in this body, with this beautiful community, express gratitude to what brought you here today, whoever helped you to get here today. And notice how gratitude feels in the body and in the heart. And then express gratitude to all that made this evening possible and all the knowledge that has been shared. As you breathe in and as you breathe out. And then most of all, express gratitude to yourself for being right here in this moment. And tap into this light that is inside the center of your heart. So there's this gift of gratitude and compassion. And we say namaste at the end of a yoga practice as we bring our palms together and we humbly bow in. So the thumbs are touching the heart center, but the fingers are pointing away. So it's a symbol of gratitude for the community as well as for ourselves. And we acknowledge that this light is in all of us. So we'll say together, namaste.
Thank you. Thank you, Mindy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now I'm going to say namaste to all of you, and thank you for being here tonight. You guys made this a success. Standing at that back door on the left side is Jill. She would like you to please give her your seminar evaluation forms. And again, we want to thank the pharmaceutical industry who helped to support this program. And I thank you all again. Excellent job.